All right, Margaret Brennan joins me now from the White House. And Margaret, we're going to start with this missile test done by North Korea and President Trump's response. Obviously, President Trump is not known for mincing words. He can definitely be a straight shooter, but he did not mention North Korea in his statement. Instead, we heard in your piece that he offered support for Japan. So what's the White House saying about why he chose this course of action during that press conference over the weekend?
Well, the White House and really just the past few days of meetings with Shinzo Abe, Japan's prime minister, has really tried to keep the focus on the strength of the alliance between our military ally Japan and the United States. Because remember, as a candidate, Donald Trump questioned whether Japan was pulling its weight. So the focus has very much been on Japan itself and how strongly the U.S. will continue to support it. So that's really what's driving a lot of the language here. You're right. President Trump was very restrained in his comments, uncharacteristically so. But if you look at what the administration has actually done since taking office, one of the very first trip that the defense secretary made, Secretary Mattis, flew to South Korea and to Japan because this was the first issue on his agenda. Going there, reassuring those Asian allies, and really building up some of the defense systems in the area against that growing North Korean threat. So this is very much on their radar. But Kim Jong-un, the young mercurial leader of North Korea, is someone who doesn't need provocation. And a lot of these things are happening behind the scenes.
So I have to definitely ask you about the controversy surrounding National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Where do things go from here? And what do you think are the factors that are ultimately going to decide General Flynn's fate, whether or not he keeps his job or not?
Well, inside the White House, there are some mixed messages and not a lot of clear communication about the future of Michael Flynn, the key national security advisor. What's remarkable is what has not been said. There has not been a full-throated defense of him. In fact, aides were really trying to piece together the timeline of what has been publicly reported based not only on testimony from former U.S. officials, but now this proof that intelligence agencies had intercepted some of the phone calls with Russian officials. So the question is whether he did anything that was illegal and whether that was in any way sanctioned by the president himself. Or was this just standard diplomacy, which is what former General Flynn says it was. But politically speaking, this puts him in a very awkward position since the vice president of the United States went on TV and repeated misleading statements, untruths, because he said that's what Flynn told him reality was. So if the president no longer has confidence that the information, the facts he's getting from his national security advisor are accurate and are in the best interest of the United States in terms of what actions he's undertaking, then that could seriously endanger Flynn's prospects in that key role. The knives are certainly out politically here, as you can see from all of the leaks to the press and reports that the Flynn himself is under question. But I want to point out, Amory, he's still in this job. Michael Flynn was down at Mar-a-Lago by the president's side with the Japanese prime minister, and he will be here again today with the Canadian prime minister and on Wednesday when Israel's leader Benjamin Netanyahu visits the White House.
Okay. Just one last question, just moving to today. I know the president will be meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. The two may not have the same sort of easy breezy bromance that Trudeau had with Barack Obama, but what do you suppose they'll be focusing on today?
Well, the young, very progressive leader of Canada has had that basically idolized Barack Obama and a lot of his policies. He has publicly said things that show he strongly disagrees with President Trump's travel ban, the temporary restrictions and on people coming in from those 7 countries, and then his full ban on all refugees from Syria. That is actually a point of national pride in Canada where they have open immigration, and Trudeau publicly has said this is the wrong decision, and it's certainly something that he thinks is counter to their values. I don't expect him to raise that today. I think he's going to stay focused on what Canadian officials say are common interests, and that is the economic alliance between the U.S. and Canada. Our economies are so incredibly interwoven. There is so much traded over our shared border that that's really where the conversation is going to be today. Expect as well for there to be sort of an olive branch extended to Mr. Trudeau by the Trump administration. They added to today's schedule a roundtable discussion on women in the workplace. And President Trump's own daughter, Ivanka, who has advocated for maternity leave and child care, is a key part of that, actually helped set the agenda, we're told. So that is really something that is meant to bring Mr. Trudeau into the fold, because he has publicly declared himself to be a feminist and made inclusivity a key part of his administration up in Canada. So this is some public diplomacy to show that there are some things that they can agree on.
Right. Margaret Brennan at the White House. Thank you so much, Margaret.